So Loka goes on now. Ed and BR up right now. Best of 5. Winners are playing for $30. Wow. These guys like to deso their own tanks. All right, let me reset the scoreboard real quick. Okay, hopefully, let's try this. Frank joining the fun. Love that. Love that. Man, BR's got some kind of a rough ping today. I hope everyone cross your fingers we don't get a lag monster. We've had a good clean day so far. Hopefully we can keep the fun rolling here. How's it looking? Looking pretty smooth. It's all about how the dogs hop, though. Keep an eye on how the dogs hop. Okay, looking pretty good. All right, so best of 5 guys. These guys are picking their own factions. Yeah, winner of this goes on to play Loka, the Madman, in the championship, $30. And the winner of the D1 tournament today going on into the semi-pro. Pure Mana calling BR taking the division. BR's a killer, that's for sure. Ed obviously Ed's been playing the game for I don't know 45 years or something. So Ed's OG pro level status and traditional Red Alert 2 obviously great player. Doesn't play Blitz as much. He's been around playing Blitz for a while, but you don't see him really getting the reps in, hanging out and kind of grinding on it like you see some of these other players. So we'll see here if BR can use his, I think, higher Blitz level knowledge here to take home a win. If Ed's got some tricks up his sleeve. Abed Tanker. Yeah, the secret sauce came in a little too late, man. He could have used that secret sauce earlier. Well, the lucky unicorn for Loka, I forgot. That's what tipped the tides there. That was a good series, man. Good series. Yes, Narc, just have Frank. Well, just if Frank's watching the stream, Frank, well, anyway. After this point, he can join in password 99. Okay, so again, we see some early Soviet action here. It is pick your own faction. We'll see if either of these players want to mix things up a little bit. Just a bit of lag coming through here. Okay, the early little Rhino dance. Ed really trying to assert his map dominance here as you see him stretching himself both left and right. BR a bit more confined. As he's kind of tucking some of these oils in the back of his base, which can be risky. He's got a couple of oils in position here that could do some collateral damage if they're able to be taken out. Crates are out. Both players take a second to remember what the crates are, why they exist. Just some money crates. Little money crates. Just some money crates. Ed rocking right now. Yeah, so Ed on 7 oils as he brings out a 3rd War Factory now. BR on 6 oils, 2nd War Factory. Slight variations in the build here. And so Ed feeling good about his financial position. Now Ed's pumping the infantry And Ed has enough infantry, I think, to make a push here. The tanks are about even. Infantry can tip the tides. And I like the barracks. You see a barracks from both sides of the map now from Ed. I like that, his ability to kind of send conscripts in on both sides. Ed keeping his conscripts back now, out of the way of those desos, which is a good move. You can target that deso, and now the rhinos come in. The conscripts are going to get some damage done here. Ooh, and this is going to be a nice turn of things here for Ed. Those conscripts were able to get enough damage done. Like I said, the tanks were pretty even, so Ed able to slightly pull ahead there. Needs to be careful. That desolator is going to go in, try to take those conscripts out. Gets a few of the conscripts, but Ed able to... Ooh, can he kill that deso? And he does, so Ed does keep some conscripts alive here. And that's what's putting him just a slight favorite in some of these battles right now. And Ed, very, very nice decision-making here as he moves into the base, has the time to take one power plant, then switches back over to defensive mode to try to defend those tanks. He'll take the MCV if he lets him. It's going to be a good exchange for Ed. Yeah, Ed looking very, very tough right now. So with that MCV, Ed could pull back here, but he might try to keep the gas going here. He does pick up an elite, but loses it. Just needs to be careful. You know, doesn't want to get caught in a weird position and lose to a bunch of desos. Also doesn't want to lose his whole army and allow BR to counterpunch. BR still on 3 war factories. Great decision there from Ed. At the end of the game, if you take his MCV, a lot of players would hit a war factory here, but 1 war factory to 2 isn't a big difference. Hitting the barracks, hitting the radar, knocking his tech down, reducing the tabs he can build on is a nice move from Ed. Good decision making, well played from Ed. Takes home the win. 1 on the board for Ed. Let's see if Frank's in here and wants to join in on the fun. Okay, is Frank around here? Oof, we got some rough pings. We got some rough pings. We got some rough pings. Frank.
Knock, knock.
How you doing, man?
Chilling, man. It's been a while. How's everything in Iverland these days?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You want to join this game, Password 99?
Password 99. All right. So. Oh, I mean, okay. So first question I got is, banger. Is this like Marco on a secret Nick, or like what's the scouting report?
It's BR, and he's a killer, man. Although Ed just kind of put him in his place on that first point. But BR's he played some Blitz last month, and he's done pretty good in these tournaments so far. So, yeah, it's interesting. But he did really good last month. We don't know who he is, though. I mean, I don't know who he is. I don't think he's a QM player.
So it could be an old school guy riding, smurfing it out.
Could be Marco. Could be Legend. Could be Marco and Legend together. Who knows? Could be anything.
What we do know is we got Ed himself spawning at the top right. Easily one of the most entertaining players out there. I mean, what can you say about him other than relentless? Just relentless Neanderthal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Tooth and nail. I mean, you see the early conscripts here. He's coming at you right away. That's his MO from the beginning. A little bit of confusion mixed with raw power. And if him and Loka both end up in the championship, we're going to be in for a weird game because Loka's also a very unconventional kind of player. Did you catch the match that just happened, Frank?
I did not.
Yeah, so we just had Loka and Cold, a couple other players. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but Loka's very similar to Ed. You know, they're the kind of players where V3 rockets come out and they do some wacky stuff. So if Ed ends up winning this and it's him versus Loka, who knows what could happen. But we do see BR. BR is definitely kind of more of a traditional player. He's comfortable with a lot of rhinos. We saw that first point, Ed able to take it home, kind of mixing things up and making some good decisions and making good use of his conscripts.
This guy is so aggressive, and we've seen Ed just holding forward. He only holds his mouse in one direction, and that's forward. As you can see, he's established himself at Banger's front door. Not necessarily a position you're comfortable with, but he does have the Rhino lead, for the time being, as Ed opened up with 2 oils first, but he secured activity, and he's using that to his advantage right now, just maintaining the threat. So, I mean, the advantage of having an active position is if you make a mistake, you just back up, but an opponent makes a mistake, he's dead, right?
Yep.
So,
yep. Less room to
Ed
retreat.
taking the initiative here, teching as well, too, so it's going to be 2 War Factories versus Radar.
Yeah, and a crazy Ivan out now from Ed. He's a showman. Ed's #1 priority is our entertainment.
His #1 priority is holding forward on the mouse pad. He's just holding for it. He's coming, just relentless aggression. Here he comes with the Ivan on the drone, though, is ready for it. Should be an easy stop for him.
Yep, and the hut, those huts were able to get some damage done.
God.
Oh, and a perfect placement.
Oh! Ouch.
Wow. And Ed saw that target, and things went exactly as planned. I like he put a little bit of pressure on the right side there simultaneously to distract him a little bit. Really, really well played, and beautiful, crazy Ivan.
Yeah, I mean, just the tactics. I thought he was going for the War Factory, but he slithered around. I think he had his eye on those oils the entire time. And he takes a commanding lead now. He still has complete activity on the right side with the defenses. The sentry gun's now in Banger's ace. 2 oils going to go down here. Going to go from bad to worse.
Yep, and Ed's proven himself. You know, we've seen it happen a couple times where these players from the semi-pro, pro divisions get knocked down to D1 because they're just not really doing good for a month or two, and they usually don't like that very much. Like Ed in D1, I think he took that a little personally, and he might have practiced this map a little bit. He wants to get back into the semi-pro bracket, and I like it. I like it. We're seeing putting on a good show here. Conscripts rushing in, love it. Spreads them out, nice.
Oh yeah, he's using the scatter function there. Not a function everybody uses. Pretty nice there by Ed. Good control here. Going to clean this up, and honestly, pretty instructive, just clean game. I love the activity. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this map. I'm loving the map. I have the funny feeling, and I think actually this map is kind of similar to the last one I saw, coincidentally. And the more we see this map played, the more that naval, the more that naval is going to come into play. It's you know, we've been over it before in the past. That dreadnought is
yeah,
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, the dreadnoughts, and we've kind of seen it. I feel like on the map as it is, and you know, as we've gone through the month, we started with the lower divisions and stuff. So it's, you know, you see the play kind of develop through the month, and obviously next week when we get all the really top guys in here, it'll be interesting to see how it plays so differently.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Ed is not considered a top guy?
This is D1. He's D1. Ed is D1. We still got semi-pro and pro. He's 3 divisions lower than the top. That's how it stands, man. You got to look at the last few months, the way Ed's played. If you lose, if you get destroyed in the division, you drop down. You crush a division, you go up, and that's where Ed's at, man. He's been losing in semi-pro, so now he's in D1. But he, I don't know. It's one of those things where like he clearly didn't play the map last month. This month he clearly did play the map. So it's kind of tricky with Blitz. Like the map experience is so big that it's like month to month when I rank people, I have to be like, okay, how good are you at the game and how hard are you going to try this month? Which makes it a little bit tricky. But anyway, back to the naval. Yeah, the naval's pretty decisive. I feel like we've seen it mostly used. We have seen it as the tipping point in some really close games. Usually it's kind of used to as the knockout punch in games where players kind of up, because you do have to have map control to kind of get it. But definitely we've seen some dreadnoughts wreck some people.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. You know, there's dreadnoughts, they can creep up on you fast. You know, you think you're like, all right, I just need like another 30 seconds, then I can continue with my. Oh my god, everything's dead.
Yep, and especially with the oils chain reacting on such a small map, like a good player using the dreadnoughts to target oils, as we saw Ed do with his crazy Ivan on that last point. And that's the disadvantage. You look at BR's build again here. Look at that oil next to the MCV. That oil will take the MCV with it. And so he's really making himself a target, and that's why those crazy Ivans were able to get so much done, because kind of a tight build like that, which is obviously not what you want to do.
And it looks like that oil there next to the barracks and war factory could potentially blow up his barracks and war factory.
Yep, exactly,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, and but also hats off to Ed because BR is not a clueless player. But you got to think BR is trying to contain himself a little bit. He doesn't want to build right at Ed. Ed's a kind of a madman right now, and I think BR wants to kind of hold himself back and not stretch out. I think he's a little bit more comfortable staying tight, but that's obviously kind of a
I
bittersweet
think
thing.
that Banger's getting a little confused here. He's significantly behind economically, right? He's down like a whole oil and a half right now, just right out of the opening. Ed completely. That's these some man. The level of play is just higher these days than it was in the past. I can tell you that. If this is D1, that is for sure. I must say, I love the create function in the middle as well. It's an incentive and a reward for having control. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a fun. Just kind of add a little fun element to the map, give a little bit of bonus for map control, and then you can call it the Oasis, and it's like giving you things because it's all thematic as well. And again, these
all right.
conscripts from Ed, throwing them in there, and again, that's what's gonna give him a slight edge here in this tank battle if he decides to push.
Yeah, I mean, this is a terrible position for Banger. He's in a position where he's just trying to hold on for another minute or two, but that's the least of his worries. The battle ad is up. Iron Curtain's going to be up in another 5 to 6 seconds, and I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to split. I feel like it's his only play right now is to go for a split. And if he hears Kirov, he should just quit.
Yep, you resign when you hear that. Yeah, this is looking very one-sided, which is interesting. We said BR just crushed his way through the D2 last month, and it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say because it's one of those things where it's like BR looks like he's playing really bad, but if your opponent's playing really good, obviously it makes you look like that. So it's hard to say, but I think it's a little bit of both right now. And the Kirov out.
He certainly does not look like he's playing bad. I mean, oh, little lag there. He knows that he has to strike right now, and he's doing exactly that. So I mean, he recognizes the situation very clearly here. He knows it was too late to go for a battle lab, decided to go for the multi-war, and it's working. But he's going to have to deal with this Kirov. It's just going to kill everything.
Yep, yep. He needs to scramble some flak for that Kirov. I mean, there's a few different ways for BR not to lose in the next minute or two. It's very difficult to come up with a way for him to make something happen, especially with those Desolators. Nice move from Ed. Yep, Kirov coming.
No time for flak here at all.
No anti-air out. He's just kind of going for a desperate base trade, but you see Ed perfectly expecting that. When the base trade, when your player, you get your opponent backed into a wall, put your Desolators and your drones on the backside, let him throw into it, and then slowly close out the game from there. But BR does take Ed's MCV, but Ed left with everything he needs.
Yeah, I mean, Ed took a completely different approach. You could say he took the opposite approach this game, and that makes me pretty scared for Banger. As just he appears to be pretty outmatched here, at least judging from the first two games. But Allied versus Allied, the other matchups they're a different universe. However, different universe.
That is entirely true, except for the fact that we are letting the players pick their own factions, and it was best of 5, and Ed just did win the third match. So, unfortunately, we will not get to see those today for these guys because we are going to the championship. Ed versus Loka now. Ed versus Loka.